What is happening, YouTube? Cowboy here, and today we are taking a look at the Fire Lord himself, Ragnaros. So the raid boss has finally made it into the Nexus, and they have got him in here so perfectly. We are smashing shit with Sulfuras, dropping meteors out, creating blast waves. We're making giant waves of lava, which will utterly annihilate our enemies. I said annihilate, Arthur, stay dead. And if all that is not enough, if that's not enough to get your Ragnaros erection going, we can basically go raid boss mode. Take over a structure, and just start beating the shit out of anything that's coming near it. So to jump into things, super excited about this guy. Let's get into it. Rag is a melee assassin. If we had to compare him to somebody, I'd say the closest thing to him is kind of Thrall, and that's only because of abilities. They both have something that helps a hammer, they both have a spell, and they both have something that involves movement speed. Aside from that, he's completely unique. Like, there's nothing else like him. He's an assassin. He's kind of like a spellblade in a sense, because we have very strong ability damage. Like, even our hammer, as you can see, ability damage. This is going to be ability damage. This is ability damage. Our fire wave's ability damage. And he's not as tanky as some of your other melee guys. Like, Butcher and Thrall, they're known for being kind of frontline tanky guys. Rag is a little bit of in between. Like, he can dish out some punishment, but he's much better, I feel, at kind of cleaning up and securing kills. And the more enemies that are grouped, the more devastating he can become. So his gank potential is, I'd say, moderate to high. Really good kill finishing with the Living Meteor. And on top of that, his wave clear potential is immense. Not even including the fact that we have a heroic which utterly decimates all waves. Our Meteor ability alone, as you can see, just pretty much left this wave like kind of dead. So not instant kill like Kale, but I mean that was just one ability. So anyway, before we discuss anything else, let's go into the talent build. We're going to talk about the talent build I chose. Then we're going to go into the abilities, kind of the fine details regarding them, and then to wrap things up, we'll go more in-depth into the talent build. So there's three main talent builds to Rag, one that focuses on Sulfuras, one that focuses on Living Meteor, and one that focuses on Blast Wave. After the PTR testing, my conclusion is that the Living Meteor build is the best. I have enough games with Rag already that I'm level 7, so I've been playing him quite a bit in a range of 10 to 15 games just in the past day, and every single one of these games has just been testing mechanics, and I'm confident in saying Living Meteor will be the meta build. So to go into that, we're going to have Shifting Meteor, followed up with Catching Fire, Molten Power, Lava Wave, though if you're on a team fight heavy map such as Battlefield for Eternity or Towers of Doom, Sulfuras Smash should be your go-to, but otherwise Lava Wave, just fantastic. Absolutely love that ability. Moving on from here, Cauterized Wounds, though if you're against a stun heavy meta, Resilient Flame is really nice. Obviously if you have 2 or more stuns in the enemy team, I'd suggest switching over to that. Moving up from there, we have Meteor Bomb, and then to wrap things up, generally, I'll go for heroic difficulty. However, if this is a very large map on, something that I need to have that wave clear, always up, Lava Surge. So, to go into the abilities, first up we have Empower Sulfuras. Now this is going to make our next basic attack instant. It's also going to make us, it's going to become AoE, and it's going to heal us. So you want to use it very similar to kind of how you use Frostmourne. You can see it's on the same timer as our basics, so you can use it right after a basic attack to kind of get that double attack in. And the important thing to note, let me refresh these forts since they're already dying here, is that the healing is based on the damage done. So, you know, right now we got a big old wave of guys coming up, and Arthas, you know, sorry, so we're at half health. That's a nice chunk. I'd say that's maybe about a fifth of our health coming back in. On the other side of things, if we kill these minions off, let me just go hit like if I just hit Arthas, not as much because it's one target. So keep that in mind. If you want to heal with Empower Sulfuras, make sure you're hitting as much shit as possible. Obviously, we get more healing against heroes. You know, it's doubled. So the more heroes you hit, the better. Lots of healing coming in. Moving on from there, we have Living Meteor. Now, this is going to be our main harass ability in lane. Late game, it's going to become our main damage dealer and kill secure. As you can see right there, we managed to... This might be enough to almost kill Arthas outright, yeah? Not quite, but... Oh, he's going to turn around. Oh, good juke there. But in team fights, this will become absolutely devastating. It will wipe heroes, Guaranteed, you'll get double, triple kills with it. It's insane what it's capable of early on. It's fantastic for harassment. The explosion, definitely nothing to scoff at. Decent wave clear. All around a fun ability, but it does take a little bit of finesse to use because you have to be predictive in using it. Moving on from there, we have Blast Wave. Now, Blast Wave can be put on both yourself or any allied. You can see we can put it on that guy just for some free suicidal push, if you will. It's not really suicidal because he's not blowing up. But you can put it on yourself to give your guy movement speed. You can put it onto that front minion to make him run up into that line and blow up. You can put it onto an enemy, or not an enemy, you can put it onto an ally hero who needs to escape. You can just use it in the old-fashioned way and just initiate with it to run up and gank somebody. But good uses for it. Just keep in mind that it is only 25% and it is only 1.5 seconds. So not exactly a lot of uptime on that. Moving on to our heroics, we have two main heroics here, Lava Wave and Sulfurous Smash. The reason I like Lava Wave so much is its global lane control. You just click on a lane and it comes out just to show what it's capable of. It instantly kills all minions, and it does massive damage to heroes. You can see that. We just took Arthas down to 50%. Now, the thing that's interesting about that is Lava Wave isn't necessarily that deadly, but the problem was that Arthas retreated with it. Now, if he stands still here, as you can see, significant difference there. You know, it still did a lot, but it didn't basically kill him outright. And that's the point I want to make with Lava Wave, is when you guys see it coming, you know, if a Lava Wave is coming left or right, I'm going to pop my speed boost and I'm going to sprint right through the damn thing. Or if I can get up or down, I'll get up or down to dodge it. So many people are being wrecked on PTR by this. And on top of that, look at our minimap. There's a big fucking fire icon you can see. So, like, my point I'm making is if you're dying to Lava Wave, you only have yourself to blame. You know it's coming. Even there's like a horn you can hear when he uses it. But anyway, the two main uses of Lava Wave, which I think make it so great. One, you can use it kind of preemptively. Like, let's say we're about to fight on Dragon Shrine, and we know, like, they have the two shrines, but we're trying to just, you know, keep them off the dragon, just buy as much time as we can while other teammates get up. You know, dropping that preemptively. You can see how I did that even before I went in. It just adds in that damage. And the thing is, if the fight's already happening, that's either going to push them out of the lane or they're going to take it. And if they take it, it will do a lot. Because we're looking at 684 per second, and that's doubled against heroes. So, predictive Lava Waves for team fights is fantastic. The other main use of it, obviously because this instantly kills minions, you know, when you're trying to push top and you have catapults creeping up bottom, you know, nobody has to hearth back. Click, catapult's gone. Instantly wipes out catapults. It will damage mercs, it won't kill them. It'll damage bosses, it won't kill them. But it'll instant kill minions and catapults from anywhere, which is fantastic. And then the last thing we have is our trait. Now, Molten Core is on a 100-second cooldown. Of course, this gets reduced if you take heroic difficulty, and you can use this on any friendly keep or any enemy keeper fort that's been destroyed. So, taking this will empower that keep. While you're in empowered, you have new abilities. Our Molten Swing, we get a 1-second stun, pretty good damage. The Meteor does a triple drop of Meteor that also slows, and then we have the Rune. And as you can see, the damage on this, nothing to scoff at. 684, each Meteor is for 363, and then 385 plus a stun. And you'll notice all these abilities have their damage increased by 25% versus minions, mercenaries, and monsters. So the point I'm trying to make here is on objective maps, where there's like a boss that's going to push, you know, right when that boss gets to your core, take it over, because it'll be hitting your health instead of the health of the core itself. And that's nice because you can use that to save shit and keep it alive. On top of that, if enemies want to, you know, try and make that push up into your base, you will devastate people doing this. If you're chasing an enemy and they're trying to retreat and you have one of their forts down, take it over, devastate them, make it so you're blocking their retreat. And on top of that, as you can see, this range is pretty freaking far. Like, this is far enough that you could basically contest a temple on Temples of Doom with Molten Core. So something very important to keep in mind is it has very, very long range. So, having gone through all the basics of the abilities, now I want to go more in-depth into the talent build and what I chose and why. So as I mentioned, there are 3 main talent builds here, one for each of the abilities. Now the reason that I like the Meteor build so much is Rag doesn't have a lot of sustain. We have Sulfurous, we can get shields with some talents, but we have a relatively slow attack. You can see we're, you know, that's like tank speed of whacking. You know, he's not going to be shitting on anybody like a Thrall or a Butcher in a one-on-one with that. So it's better to work around our spells. And with a good spell usage, we can easily hit over 2,000 damage on a Meteor when used properly. You know, 2,158, that was one Meteor, and that was an unempowered Meteor. That only had a 15% boost from one hero, which is going to be constantly up no matter what. We can get that up a lot more with multiple heroes. Just to put things into perspective, like with a maximum Blast Wave build, you're basically dealing 4 times damage. 4 times that is still under 1,000. We just dealt 2,000 with one Meteor that was unempowered. So, Blast Wave, no bueno. A lot of the Empower Sulfuras type builds, you need to be hitting multiple heroes, so you're going to be rushing in and, you know, being like, I'm melee Sulfuras, and it just, I don't know. I don't feel it works all that well. But anyway, enough about my reasoning. Let's go into the talent choices and more in depth about them. So first up, Shifting Meteor, kind of a standard for this build. It's going to increase how long it's going to go because of the time, you know, so it goes farther. On top of that, you're going to want that for later when we pick up Meteor Bomb, because having that redirect, you know, that's very important for securing kills. It's going to make sure that, oh, you want to juke and go the other way? Just kidding, I'm coming with you. On top of that, we can use that to, you know, make sure that that explosion is going to hit people. As for the others, Sulfuras Hungers, you know, 120 damage. 120 really isn't that much. Just to put this into perspective, count how one tick is 178 versus 120. A single tick is 178, and we are increasing the time of this by half a second. So, food for thought right there if you want to play the numbers game. Engulfing Flame, reduce the cooldown by 2 seconds and its radius is increased. I just, you know, the damage on this is so lackluster to begin with, I don't really feel it's worthwhile. Going into the next tier, Catching Fire, Slow Burn, and Fire Ward. Now, Catching Fire, I think, is kind of the go-to in this tier. I mean, we're getting 30 health regen, which is very nice. That puts us, like, on par health regen-wise with some of the tanks. That is going to help us sustain. On top of that, being able to pop resistant for 25%, that's fantastic. Like, if we do have to get in the mix, which we will, this is a lifesaver right here. As for the others, Slow Burn, Blast Wave slows enemies. It's nice if you're using it on friendly targets a lot, like if you're using it on your tank. If you don't have a solid initiator, put that on your tank, let your tank run in, that slow goes off. You know, he has movement speed to engage, and then he slows. But otherwise, I don't feel it's all that worthwhile. Very, very rarely have I found myself in matches where I'm like, here comes Ragnaros! Like, chasing in and trying to kill people like that. I'm usually just like, JK, here's a Meteor and you're dead. But, you know, it is viable if you want to do a build around that. As for Fire Ward, fantastic skill, but too situational. If you are in a match where you're up against, like, you know, at least 2 mages, I would say, so like a Kael Falstad or a Gul'dan Li-Ming, I think it's going to have its value there. But otherwise, I think even then, you know, Catching Fire is very nice. Resistant and 30 health regen is very powerful, very hard to pass up. Moving on from there, Molten Power. Now, this whole tier is our damage tier. Hand of Rag restores some mana and reduces the cooldown. But the problem with this is we got to hit 2 enemies. Now, just to rewind a little bit, let me say the range on this is quite long. Hitting this guy damaged all them. Like, if we were to hit Arthas, we'll hit all of these enemies probably. No, we don't hit this guy. Maybe they nerfed him at range. I don't know. We hit that one. But the point is, you know, even with the range on it, which isn't too bad, how many times are you going to hit 2 enemies? A tank's going to jump in. You might hit that tank. But unless you're fighting like a double tank melee, you're not really hitting a lot of enemies. The mana restore, that's unnecessary. 10 mana, who gives a shit, you know? It costs 25, that costs 60, that costs 50. Like, mana's not an issue with Hand of Rag to begin with. Mana's not really an issue with Ragnaros. I think I found myself like twice now being like, shit, I need mana. And even then, I had Fountain up and available. I just hadn't used it because I was too busy killing people. Well, the fact is, like, the cooldown reduction, I don't feel like you'll be able to capitalize on it enough to make it worthwhile. Superheated. Blast damage increased when used on Ragnaros. Okay, so now if I want to see the damage come out of this, I have to use it on myself. Damage doubled, so we're looking at basically 500 damage. What would he fucking do? Molten Power. After hitting heroes, the next living meteor is increased up to a maximum of 75%. We were doing 2,000 damage with this thing earlier. 75%? That would put us up to 2... what would that even be? I can't even do math right now. I can't even do math. You know what? We're pulling out a calculator here. We had 2,000 damage and an extra 75%. So we're going 1.75. That's 3,500 damage. 3,500 fucking damage. That's like more health than some heroes. That's nuts. So point is, Molten Power OP. Moving on from there, obviously, Lava Wave if you want to have awesome on-demand wave clear as well as predictive hero buttfuckery. Like no way. You're not getting away. Sulfurious Smash for teamfight or random maps. That's all it comes down to. Here, this tier gets a little bit trickier. All three of these are decent choices, I will say. Against stun-heavy comps, I think Resilient Flame is the go-to. Just because 50% reduction for 3 seconds, that's definitely that's like a life or death type thing. And if you're fighting a team that has 2 to 3 stuns, you're going to want that for sure. Against a team with only 1 stun, maybe not. Cauterize is pretty significant, because if you want to do the math, you know, we're looking at 20% healing, it's doubled versus heroes, so 40%. This is 60% on top of that. So basically, and if my math is correct, we basically get 100% of the damage of this when we heal. So just to put that in perspective, level 22, that's a 527 heal coming in for us for hitting 1 enemy hero. Obviously more with more enemy heroes. In comparison, Blast Wave, 100% of the damage. So we're looking at a 500 heal versus a 250 shield. You know, you do the math. Obviously, one of these is better than the other one. Moving forward from there, into our last tier here, or second to last. Giant Scorcher, Living Bomb, Blast Echo. Blast Echo, I mean, if you're doing a Blast Wave build, you're doing a Blast Wave build. But after it explodes, another Blast Wave is created on Ragnaros. You know, there's like the obvious synergy here is you toss one on your tank, and then you get one too, and you're just like, explosion sandwich, and blowing shit up. But even then, you know, I don't really feel it's worth it. As for Giant Scorcher versus Meteor Bomb, this strictly just comes down to math. You know, it's a question of, do they have tanks where you're going to see the benefit of this? Just to put it in perspective, you know, Meteor Bomb is 522 damage. I have a little bit under 5,000 health. So this is over 10% of my life. Giant Sculpture, on the other hand, 9% of their maximum health over 3 seconds. So against me, Meteor Bomb is a superior choice than Giant Sculpture. Because this is 10%, this is only 9%. Well, this is actually like 11% of my life, probably, if we wanted to work out the math. But that's all you got to do there. Just figure it out. And especially if you took Shifting Meteor here, you know, it's going to be very easy to make sure you get that turn and you get that explosion so that you're seeing that actual damage. Against multiple tanks, Giant Scorcher might be the way to go because you're going to see that damage. But you know, especially with being able to redirect, Meteor Bomb is pretty easy to land. As for the last tier, if you go for Sulfurious Smash, Flames of Sulfuron, not too bad. It'll mean that even enemies that you don't get in the middle, they get that slow, and the enemies you do hit are stunned for an extra second. So, not a bad talent pick. In general, I like Heroic Difficulty a lot. You know, increasing your Molten Core health by 50%, reducing the cooldown will really help you on those objective-heavy maps. Because if I didn't mention it, you can use this to soak things like cannon shots or lasers from temples. So that health increase is very nice, especially if you have to like stop a boss or something. And then the cooldown too, pulling that down to 50 seconds. You know, that's almost in tune with how often objectives go up. So food for thought there. Obviously, if you're on a map where it's very big and you need that wave clear, having a second charge of Lava Surge can be quite powerful. You know, push down mid and just press the button twice, boom, boom. Top's cleared, bottom's cleared. You're pushing mid, and all of a sudden everything is at the enemy base. As for Submerge, I don't feel that's worth it. You know, we're submerging, we're healing 1,480 health. That's not a lot of health at all, considering we have like a 5,200 health pool. No, don't take Submerge. Don't be bad. Don't do it. But anyway, guys, that's going to wrap up the guide for Rag. Obviously, I'll have a match kind of showcasing all of these abilities in action for you. And then on top of that, if you want to see some of the other builds, we did also test all those. There's like a 5-hour live stream of me playing. I think it's just called like Testing Ragnaros or something. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the build guide. Thanks for coming on by, and we will catch you next time with the next hero that drops into the Nexus.